This is the mighty 690 KGGF. I'm Deborah Woodall, broadcasting live this evening from Independence's Memorial Hall, along with field producer Sam Speck and studio engineer Matt Jordan. We're pleased to present this candidates forum this evening, and the rules are simple. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes to make an opening statement. Mark Evans is serving as the timekeeper this evening. He'll provide a visible warning to you when you're down to 30 seconds, and when your time expires, he will say stop. I will ask the questions, and we'll alternate on who gets to answer first. Again, you'll have 3 minutes to answer the issue-specific questions. Each candidate will also be given 3 minutes for closing statements. Please be respectful to your opponents, gentlemen. And remember, your comments are being broadcast live, so I trust you'll mind your language. Our candidates this evening for District 1 for the Montgomery County Commission are facing off in a winner-take-all Republican primary. Those on the ballot include Robert Bever, Leon Rao, and Jack Reddick. Mr. Reddick has not made it to this forum yet. He had told us he would be here. We will see if he is running a little late, but until he arrives, we will just move forward because live radio really cannot wait. So let's begin with the opening statements. One of you will soon join Larry McManus and Fred Brown on the Montgomery County Commission. Ryan York is not seeking re-election. Mr. Bever, let's start with your opening statement, going in alphabetical order. Why do you want to run for this office?
For the past 11 years, I've worked for the Public Works Department as a coordinator, and in doing so with the Public Works Road Division, I've worked with the other departments throughout the county. And I've gained quite a bit of experience on county management, budget management within departments. The road and bridge being one of the largest budgets in the county, which accounts usually for around 11 to 12%. And I handle about $6 million a year through that for building and maintenance, road and bridge, spatial bridge. And so quite a bit of time preparing budgets, working with the budgets. The other thing I've gained is I've come to enjoy working with the public, maybe not so much when I first started, because at the time I came in 2007, that was the same year that we had that flood. And in July, everything got turned upside down. So for the next 3 years, we was repairing roads and bridges and putting that back together with the help of FEMA. And so I've got indoctrinated pretty quick over that end of it. Probably one of the things along that line, we had around 1,400 complaints coming in through the county, and we've got that narrowed down after 11 years, about 700. Well, out of that 1,400, most of it was coming from our people that lived out within the counties with particular problems that they had, and now we've got that narrowed down probably to 700 a year, coming from the different districts. We do track all that through the districts, and most of it's coming through my own personnel that's out on the county roads doing that work. So I've worked with the taxpayers out there as far as their complaints. We've worked with them on trying to improve their roads and districts in those areas, and I've worked with altogether probably 7 different commissioners during that time. And in that, I've just gained a lot of knowledge from them on what the public wants and what their demands have been for the Road and Bridge Department, and just would like to continue to serve the community in a different fashion.
All right, very well. Mr. Rao, why do you wish to serve on the Montgomery County Commission? And also, keep in mind, you've got 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm running for several reasons. One of them is I've been asked to, a lot of small businesses have asked, A lot of people that I know have asked that are running in. They originally didn't have any intention of ever serving more than one term, but that is one reason. The other is I have 4 children. 3 of them still live in the county and work in the county. I have 12 grandchildren. Quite a few of them are still in the county. And our county, like a lot of counties, are having a lot of problems with property tax. And our evaluation keeps declining, and we have fewer people paying taxes. And that trend has been going on for quite a while, and I don't see any major change coming the way the situation is now. The remaining taxpayers have to pay more taxes every year just to maintain the same level of revenue for the county. So really it's up to the residents of this county to decide what we're going to do about this situation. We're going to either continue paying more taxes every year, or we're going to cut wasteful spending and reduce or eliminate unneeded programs. And that cost reduction is only going to happen if the taxpayers get involved and make it happen. There's no government agency going to cut back on their own. I've never seen it in any large form ever. And the taxpayer is going to have to make his voice heard. On just a county needed by the county, we need more transparency and accountability. The major issues discussed need to have more time taken before we make a decision or take action on this. There's too many aspects get overlooked when we have basically it's special interest groups that are at the meetings every week. You know, they're going to, if we just give them some money, they're going to cure all these problems. We never, hardly ever have taxpayers at the meeting to be heard. And this is going to have to change, or we're not. The system's not going to change unless the taxpayers make it change. And I'm going to try to implement, well, I will, if I'm elected, I will start having a meeting in the evenings to discuss issues before the county. Most working people can't make it to the commission meeting during the day. They need to understand what the issues are and then either get behind them and voice their opinion. And I would actually like to start as some type of a taxpayer committee where we get people in the county involved in these issues. And that's about the extent of it for now. Thank you.
Jobs are always a concern, depending on what level of government you're in. There are always people looking to their elected officials to help grow business and recruit more jobs. What are the types of jobs the county should work to develop, if you think that's something the county should be involved in? And how do you then go about recruiting employers who appreciate the workforce Montgomery County has to offer? And as the follow-up, what are your thoughts on the proposed Tyson plant? Mr. Rao, we'll begin with you. Again, you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
Okay. The county, like every county, like I said, the declining middle class, declining revenue. We're getting into a more global economy, and we do have MAC in this county, which does a good job of getting us out to the public, out to the people that are interested in moving their business, starting a new business. That has to be there because in a small county, usually we can't generate enough to expand. And some of the things that, we've been trying to get business in here for 30, 40 years that I'm aware of. The problem I see is we need businesses to come here for reasons other than they're going to get free taxes and they're going to get money. There's got to be some other reason for them to come here, or we're going to see what we always, not always, but we see a lot of. As soon as their tax abatement's gone, they don't get the money, they're gone. We have to have a reason, they have to have a reason to come here besides getting that incentive. That incentive is going to help. A lot of the incentives that I see that have worked the best are for either existing companies in the county that needed funds to either grow and expand, and those are by far the best for the major reason. It not only adds jobs. Jobs is not a direct equal to wealth, gaining wealth in this county. You have to have jobs that produce a product where the profit stays in the county. We can have large companies come in and employ thousands of people, make a great product, but the product gets sold outside the county and we don't benefit from it. So that's an issue. We need to look at bringing industry or jobs where that revenue is going to stay in this county. And that's the major, as far as wealth growth, the county can look at. Jobs are it, but they're not directly equated with gaining or growing wealth for the county. And we need to take more time studying what that entity can do for the county and have some sort of something in the contract that says if they don't meet that, then they don't get all of the funds, because now it's just been an open-ended. They get everything, all we get are promises. And if they don't come true, we're stuck with the situation. Thank you.
Would you like to answer the follow-up question to that on what your thoughts are on the proposed Tyson plan?
Do I still I've got 3 minutes on this item also.
Yeah, we'll expand it.
Tyson is it's a multinational corporation. There's so many issues with Tyson that I don't see us making a decision without having a lot of information. And we've got all kinds of basically rumors on a lot of it, but we do have a lot of insight from Tyson because we can see where they've been, what they've done in those situations. So we can gather a lot of information with that. Now that we've heard the horror stories and we've heard the good stories, we need to be able to weed out facts and have those facts before we make that decision. And they say, they've made some changes, and I have no reason to doubt that, but we need to see some proof and actually, if it's not carried out, we don't want another open-ended. If they don't meet their contracts or they don't, a lot of time it's just blue sky, we're going to do this, and if it doesn't come to fruition, that's it. We don't have any recourse. And we have to have, I know one of the main issues with Tyson has been environmental issues. And we can look at their history, we can look at what they say they've changed, but we need some facts and a lot of facts before we decide. I mean, if it turned out to be what they say it's going to be, it'd be great. I mean, we'd have a lot of jobs with a lot of people bring other problems, but if we can look at the situation before we make that decision, that's the main thing that I see with Tyson. We have got to do our homework, and right now, the information I have is, I'm sure, not current. I'm not in the loop right now, but what I hear from other people that are, we still have a lot of issues to clarify before we make a decision on Tyson.
All right, so we're now dividing this into two questions, Mr. Bever. So the first one, which you'll have 3 minutes to answer, is what types of jobs should the county be working to develop if you think that's a role county government should play? And if so, how do we recruit employers who appreciate the workforce Montgomery County has to offer? That's part one. We'll be back for part two next.
I recognize the county as being an agriculture county. It always has been. Over the years, and I'm going to talk a little bit here about Tyson, but I don't want to underestimate the businesses, the local businesses that we have in the county, Coffeyville and Independence, and of course the one that Jim has, and that's in the county, employing people. Thank God for you guys. We need you. One of the problems I do see, and we're going to discuss here, is the labor factor. Being in the Public Works Department, I find it a challenge to get workers. They're not out there. We don't have the skilled workers, so we do have an employment problem of workable people that could be available. But let's say Tyson's, for example. We don't very often get an opportunity like this to come into the county. Is it ideal? Some people, they're going to say no. I've talked to several, and they don't want Tyson in here. I've talked to many more that do want Tyson in here, because from Tyson come spinoffs. And not only are they looking at 1,600 people to come in, you've got stages and phases to go through, which you'd have the construction phase and to bring in, and then to employ them. One of the things that, yes, the county probably will give them a tax rebate, and I would expect them to. But along that line, I think we, as a county and county commissioners, need to tie that back to the labor force, or somehow tie their incentive back to if those employees live in Montgomery County, because our whole idea is to get workers in the county. We need to get them living in the county so they'll spend their paychecks in the county, and by that, then you begin to grow this negative effect that Leon's talking about of our bases going down. We're sitting here, at probably around 32,500 people in the county, and if you bring in another 1,600 people for workers, that's about a 4% labor increase. I know they bring with them their families, others will come, but with Tyson, you're going to have tires to repair, you got fuel, you'll need babysitters, you'll need convenience stores. It'll just mushroom, and other people will come once you bring them in there. And as far as the problems with the clientele they think they'll bring in, basically that'll be spread throughout the county. We already have the law enforcement established. Garden City and other counties have gone through that. And so we've got a lot of stuff already answered for us. So that's my take on Tyson.
Okay. Are you satisfied, or would you like another 3 minutes here on the question?
If I got 3 minutes, I'll take it.
Okay. Well, you do have, so.
Well, one of the things I think the county commissioners, I don't believe I'm speaking out of turn, have already committed to Tyson, if we get them, that they'll spend probably roughly $1 million on the infrastructure around the plant, which, of course, they're looking at that to be down around Coffeyville. And with that comes and a lot of people have already heard this and have gone to these poultry meetings, as far as having a feed mill. So as you begin to spread that out, and this is just an example. If you put one in Cherryville, you put one, you got the plant in Coffeyville, and you're talking about farmers and growers, in the community that's going to spend $500,000, $1 million to get established with a company such as Tyson. So when they come in, and if we do give them that tax break they need and put some strings attached to it, they're going to be here for long term, 15, 20 years, because the farmer that's going to borrow that kind of money and put his property up for, to back the loans, that's a big commitment. And one of the things that the county's going to be looking at here, probably next week or two, is this neighborhood revitalization. There's some areas in that could help an individual grower, because what they're wanting to do there is help those individuals. So it's not just for Tyson, for the manufacturing side of it. It's just the amount of that we can bring in as far as the small shops, and that's really what we need. We got to get a diversity, and I think that would be Tyson would be the shot in the arm to go after the other, smaller companies, the packaging companies. They got to have refrigeration. It's just I can't name all of them that has to go along with something that large. I praise Montgomery County Action County for going after something this large, and even our legislature recognizes it at the state, because they're putting in place laws and all to handle these type of things, as far as setbacks and different things. With it, probably another area, the cities, just like Coffeyville, there's several of us getting involved. The city, Coffeyville, is wanting to do utilities. Our commissioners is talking about, working with them on the infrastructure out there around the plant. So just from it, I can see a lot of spinoffs coming from Tyson, and it wouldn't just have to be Tyson. That's what I'm talking about. It could be a different manufacturer of that nature for an ag community.
Very good. The county funds a number of departments and provides funding to a few other agencies that look to the county for support. As you've both alluded to, we have seen a shrinking in the population. However, budget requests continue to grow. In fact, I think most of the county departments are asking for additional funds in the upcoming budget. The budget hearing, of course, set for the 14th. If you were elected, how would you weigh the need for money against taxpayers and their ability, or perhaps just their willingness to pay? And we'll start with you first, Mr. Bever. 3 minutes.
Along with your budgets, and basically, as we put our budgets together, it's the expenses that we expect to have for the following year, and to ask the taxpayers to get on board with it. As we said, that they've got to get involved. They need to come to the meetings, but what's really expected does the taxpayers want? Just an example, and then this is nothing but an example, so please, you folks that are out there listening, we could cut the Road and Bridge Department budget 6 mills just in a stroke of a pen if you take 150 miles of asphalt roads out of the county. We have 313 miles of asphalt roads. By dropping that, and the expense we have of keeping that up, because we try to keep those roads, we turn those every 7 years. But if the taxpayers truly wanted something done, those are the kind of decisions that could be made. So you could drop the mill levy 6. That's just one example. But the question comes out, the people say, yeah, I'm all for that, but until you say, all right, we're going to do it in front of your house. And boy, does the red flag go up. If you want to stir people up, just tell them that. So, but we got that all the way through. It takes a certain amount of dollars to support the county, and the Road and Bridge is and I'll admit it, it's one of your main ones. 253 bridges in the county. That's over 20 foot on their drainage structure. I've got another 3,300 small culverts out there that we have to take care of. Some of these bridges are over 100 years old. And right now, I think the last count I had, I'm somewhere around 40 or 50 that we need to start looking at to replace. Do we continue to do that? Some of the other decisions that we're wanting, or the people want to cut taxes, I'm for cutting taxes if it goes along with the desire of the people. And it takes a certain amount to run the jail, to run the Road and Bridge Department, to send the appraisers out, and just the daily, it's nothing different than what we have at our homes. You know, if you've got a hot water heater goes out, you replace it. In the last 3 years, our buildings have, over the years, and just like the jail, it's 30 years old. I have spent probably close to $200,000-$300,000 in the judicial center. Upkeep, 30 years old. It's just, that's part of it. So, you know, we got to get with the taxpayers, decide what we really want, and are willing to give those up to lower the taxes along that line.
All right. Mr. Rao, what are your thoughts on how we kind of weigh expenses against those paying for them?
Okay. Some of the issues that I see are what the basic county is actually responsible for. You know, they're responsible for road and bridge, they're responsible for a court system, sheriff's department. There are basic things that our direct responsibility is with the county. There are a lot of things the county spends money on that are, in a lot of cases, duplicates, and in a lot of other cases, triplicates, because the federal government has a program to deal with the issue, the state has a program to deal with the same issue, and then the county has a trying to deal with the same issue. And if we would just narrow those down, just have one entity handle that, we would be a lot more efficient. The end product would be better instead of trying to figure out which three entities that you're going to use and not any three of them doing a really good job. And every department that you talk to, when you talk about cutting, usually can justify, this is what we're spending it on, and we definitely can't cut because we're down to the limit now. Well, in most cases, they try to justify it, but I'll use just one department, and I'll use this because it deals with lawyers, and if I'm not telling the truth, they can sue me or come arrest me. But basically, the indigent defense, we spent $168,000 last year on indigent defense. And talking to the sheriff and the people in the court, it's less than 1% of the people that go through that court system and the sheriff. It's less than 1% of the county. And it's people that just keep going around and around in the system. And I found out on the indigent defense, whether he's a drug dealer or whatever, he comes up and says, yeah, I can't pay it. He fills out this form that says he can't. Yeah, they're going to take the word of a felon and a drug dealer that he can't pay it. It's up to the court to decide whether he can actually do that. But they don't, almost never do they check into that and determine, and I believe that a large part of that is because it's a lot easier for them to get the taxpayer to pay that bill than it is to try to get a crook to pay his bill. It's a lot easier, the taxpayers just get to pay it. Those are things that can change if the people in the county would realize what's going on and voice their opinion. It would get changed. But you have to have the taxpayer knowing what's going on and voicing their opinion. Thank you.
This is special coverage from the mighty 690 KGGF Decision 2018, District 1 seat on the Montgomery County Commission. This is a winner-take-all Republican primary. 3 candidates vying for the seat. They are Robert Bever, Leon Rao, and Jack Reddick. We have Mr. Rao and Mr. Bever participating tonight. Now, the commission deals with a lot of issues: environmental, weed control, roads, bridges. Do you see ways in which those services need to be improved? We'll start with you, Mr. Rao, this time.
Just the county issues that need to be improved, is that the...
Yeah, the services that are offered. Are there ways any of those various services could be improved?
Okay. I think one of the main areas would be to actually understand what the public expects for their dollar, and actually see where their dollars are going, and is it accomplishing what they expect. A lot of our government, the main issues that come up, whether it's the court system, the health department, whatever it is, it's a good idea and it's needed to begin with, but it turns into an industry where a whole group of people are basically in it to keep their job and grow it, and that's why departments keep growing. And in the end, a lot of times the original intent or original sight is lost on what it was supposed to accomplish and what kind of money was supposed to be used to accomplish it. It just keeps growing and growing. And if the taxpayer would see where that money actually goes and understand, is that what they really want, I think you would find out a lot of cases where that's not the case, that the original intent is completely lost over years and years of bureaucracy and an industry that's basically existing for itself. Those issues are a lot larger as we get into the federal, state, and federal, but they exist here in the county also. And another thing is in this county is lack of cooperation. We still have the north-south fight in this county, and it's costing us millions of dollars. And if we could just, and I think that's going to take the taxpayers, because the special interests aren't going to give up their little dynasties. We're going to have to get taxpayers involved, and they can change it, but they're going to have to get involved. We're going to have to lay out the plan of how it can be done and follow that plan. The taxpayer is going to have to get behind it. A lot of these can be changed, but it's going to take involvement. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bever, what are your thoughts on all the issues the county has to deal with and any ways in which services need to be improved? It almost feels like a loaded question, doesn't it?
It is. My thoughts, as far as the commissioners, they've got a big job, and on these different issues, such as weed control, there's been our household hazardous waste department, our noxious weed guys. I've got two people in that area, and we're responsible for taking care of all the noxious weeds along the road. If you talk to the people that live within the cities, they really don't have a lot to do with that. But the state says that we need to control noxious weeds. And that budget, at that line, I have cut out for the last several years, and I've got it down to around $90,000. And that's where we can spend the taxpayer dollars go, where people come in and pick up chemicals to take care of those roadside weeds. We also do spraying. You can talk to some people out in the county, and they say we miss a lot of spraying, but we've got over 1,200 miles of road that we have to take care of. This county being 24 wide by 27 it's a big county to take care of. The environmental side, I don't know that we have, that I'm aware of a lot of issues along that. Scott Barnhart pretty well handles that for the county on those types of issues. I know he works with KDHE. They solve those types of problems. They come up, whether they're oil spills or problems out there that gets into the road ditches, and he does a pretty good job on handling that side of it. If we're concerned about environmental conditions coming from the Tyson plant, those are already going to be answered. That's already set in place. They've got to manage those chickens and handling that type of thing and disposing of them. So that's all will be put in place prior to anything that the county has to do. Other issues, the way I see it, is just for the county commissioners. is, put in place your department heads to take care of your day-to-day operations. That's what you got them for. Put responsible people in those places. And then the commissioner's job is, they've got to do the policies. Set the policies up and to support, what we actually want. One of the, as Leon said, and I've said it right along, we do need more involvement. But I think it's got to come up from the county commissioners, and I need to get with the other two commissioners when elected. But the county doesn't have a plan. What's our 5-year, 10-year plan for bringing in businesses and working with our businesses that's already here? That's a great important. We've got, they're here, they're operating, they're paying their taxes and supporting payroll. What can we do to help them and find out their particular problems to help improve, the small businesses that we have here in the county?
All right. Well, you've survived so far, gentlemen. Now time for closing statements, and we'll give you 2 minutes each for your closing statements. We'll start with you, Mr. Rao.
On a closing statement, we have a lot of problems, and we can work through them if we will work together. And I guess for my own personal outlook on why you should vote for me, I think honesty and integrity are something that is by far the largest item you have to look at in a candidate in any public office. And I haven't worked in public office other than that first term as a commissioner, but there's really no good measurement. It's not like a credit check or you have a score and it tells you how honest this person is, although that is part of it. If your credit score is bad, you're probably not too honest about paying your bills. But a couple of things. Back when I got out of high school, I still had a draft, and I was in the Army. I went into the Army Intelligence Department, and during that time, I got a security clearance. It was top secret with crypto access, and that's the highest clearance you can get. So they thought I was honest back then. My neighbors, people I've done business with, is probably the best judge of who I am and whether I can be trusted or whether I'm honest. And you can talk to those people, that'll probably give you a lot better idea. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bever, you've got 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I think as your county commissioner over the years that I've worked here with the county, I've kind of learned a few things, and one of them is to expect and, of course, to respect citizens' complaints. Just one of the things I would be, focused on ways to prevent problems instead of trying to solve the problems after they occur. In making, policies through the commission, you got to be consistent, and I'd like to see that. Be open-minded on different opinions and also judgment. Everybody's, not everybody is on the same page, and sometimes you'll have it'll be a compromise. And the other thing is keep your constituents, informed, and that's through communications. Be open, and let the public know where you're headed and your decisions you want to make. Probably the main thing as a commissioner, they're policy makers. They're not to run the day-to-day operations. And I think probably the commissioner should be the budget preparation. I take it very seriously. It's probably the biggest policy development tool available to the governing body of the county. And that's where you've got to look at your expenses and your revenue coming in and make sure that that's what the public wants, and that's, they're satisfied with it. Because then we just give it to our departments, and they manage the money that we allow them. And just being with the county, I do respect all the employees that work there. They put in a lot of hard time, a lot of work, and even the commissioners do. And anybody that has a small business in Montgomery County, I respect what you do for your county. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you for being a part of this tonight. It is certainly a credit to your character to be willing to take part in something like this. And to the rest of you, thank you for listening, either here in person or if you were listening to us live on the radio. We appreciate that as well. Our primary election day is Tuesday, August 7th. And remember that you'll want to tune in to the mighty 690 KGGF after the polls close to hear your vote count. We appreciate our sponsors who made this broadcast possible, O'Malley Equipment, also Taylor Crane and Rigging. I'm Deborah Woodall, along with Sam Speck, Matt Jordan, and Mark Evans on the mighty 690 KGGF. And we're clear. Sure. Yeah, the candidates are going to hang around, so if you would like to ask them questions individually, you can do that.
You can't ask them publicly?
Well, you can ask them publicly, I guess, sure.
I'd save them a half an hour.
Okay. What you got, Jim?
I've got to feed the cows, Jim. Make up a good 30 minutes.
Well, that's why I wanted to make it quick for you.
Yeah, I can handle 30.
How many people are running? I'm behind a little bit. How many people are running for this? Are there 3 running for 2 or what?
3 for 1.
Oh, 3 for 1. Okay. And where was Jack tonight? Is that his name, the other guy?
Yeah, Jack Reddick. He told me he would be here, but he is not.
I just wondered, is this the first one of these public forums? How many are you going to have?
We'll be doing more once we get into the general election.
Oh, the general, okay. That's good to know. Okay. I just wanted to ask both candidates, if you guys, this Tyson thing's a big deal, okay? Everybody knows it. You talked about we need the jobs. I support it so far. I made a public announcement with a letter to the editors to all the papers. Somebody said that maybe one of the candidates was not for Tyson and maybe wasn't for Montgomery County Action Council. I've heard some talk. I'm not sure which one, but I'd like to know more about that. I personally, for one person in this room, made a run over there. I know there's others in the room. Went over to Tyson, checked it out, and Leon, you made the Mr. Rao, you made the comment. We don't know enough yet, and I agree. Okay, I'm on the way to support it. I'd like to know more. We'd all like to know more. Turn over more rocks, know more. But as a taxpayer, employer, etc., I feel like we need some jobs. I don't talk to very many people that don't want it, that are paying enough taxes, okay, that I know of. Maybe I'm not running into them all the time. I'm still working, my hours. But I'd like to hear from them. If, as a city commissioner in Coffeyville, I've got my ears out trying to find out. I think I mentioned it to Trish and some of us that went over there. They're still trying to find out if they want to come here or not. And we're trying to still figure out whether we want them to come here. Okay, so there's quite a process. But I'd like to know if you guys have been over there to Tyson and what you're doing. What are we actually doing? Or are you guys planning on doing to talk about this Tyson? Because we're not getting too many companies that want to move here, okay? And what are you guys actually doing to see if we want Tyson here and support Montgomery County Action. I'd like to know a little bit more about that, if you don't mind. And I'm sorry Jack wasn't here, because I don't even know Jack. But anyway, I'll shut up. Thank you.
Okay. For my part of this, I had a lot of questions initially, and since I'm not in any capacity as far as government or business to be involved in this, I was concerned about it. I'm concerned. I'm not concerned. I'm not for or against it. At this point, initially I was didn't have an opinion either way, other than a lot of caution and needing a lot of information. And I've talked to Trish at Mac, and she's given me a lot of information that I didn't have. And I was impressed by what they have done so far, doing the due diligence to find out what we need to know to make those decisions. And as far as Mac, I mean, they're probably the only reason they're here. And that's their purpose, and they do a good job. And it's now that they've got them coming, then it's up to a lot of other people to make that decision and get that information. And right now, I don't have any big block or any big red flag that says, no, don't bring them. And I don't have there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, a company like that, for a county this size, brings a lot of possibilities. But they have to be looked at. We don't want to jump into it. I don't think if we take an extra 3 or 4 months, Tyson's going to pull out. I mean, I think this area is good for him. There's several reasons why it's good for him. And we need to be satisfied. When we make that decision, we need to be confident that it's going to work out the way we envision it working out.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been behind it from the start, and I've talked to neighbors and different ones. There's some people, that are not, but let it be said that I am. I see it as an opportunity. I see it as from an ag side. That's what we are. We have the Springers up north, and if anyone's up there in that area, you'll know you're there because you'll smell the hogs. But they have many, many barns up there. They've spread them out. They've taken care of the environmental problems. They put in wash stations for their trucks, and they turn a lot of hogs weekly. They raise a lot of grain. They hire several people to help them on those farms and get along with them just fine. And if you was to go there today and say, we want to start a hog operation, you'd have the whole county just like, we got the ones for and the ones against it. And you're going to have that. Is Tyson's the ones we want? Sure, why not? Bring them in. And because the laws and the environment is so much different today, and the amount of money that Tyson would have to put into this plant tells me they're a permanent fixture. And to me, 20 years, I won't be here, chances are. But my grandkids will, and I've got them here in the county. They're going to need places to work, or they're going to bring in, others that'll bring them in. And then the next question, some of the things that we've talked about, bringing in Latinos or different people than what you and I are, Jim, today doesn't scare me. You bring in 1,600 people, and we got 32,500 people supposedly in the county today. Now, we're down about 7,000 people, and the Census Bureau is telling us, the statistics, we're going to lose another 7,000 people by 2040 if we stay on this path. Well, being in Coffeyville and Independence in our area, the big major companies are going to Tulsa, Kansas City. They're going somewhere else. We need the ag side of it, and in the small businesses that'll generate. I would rather have 20 small businesses attached to them than I would a big Amazon. that we had. They were here. That was just happened to be an opportunity, and it didn't last long. All right, but it worked while it was here. We need something that we can tie into. Feed mills, trucks that's going to run up down the roads. And say, all right, it's going to wear out your roads quicker. We're already wearing out our roads. There's wagon wheel roads that we put in, and we're taking care of them. That's part of that $5 million budget just for the road and bridge that we take care of yearly. Okay, so let's look at our cup as being, almost full, instead of half empty. All right, so we're at $321 million for our ad valorem taxes. Let's get it up. Let's bring them in. Let's get the people here. Let's get them living in the county, and let's get our money. Let's get it to turning. There's other areas that the commissioners can look at, and that's one of the things I come back and we need to put a plan together, And if the taxpayers do not want your taxes through property tax, there's other taxes. I don't like spreading taxes around. You got the sales tax. We don't take advantage of it. Most of the counties around us, Labette County, for example, they, for the first 6 months, they pulled in $1.3 million in sales tax. Now, the next quarter, if they pull in another one, you're looking at $2.6 million. Well, divide that out by $321,000, you can cut the mills 6 to 8%. But that's a trade. You're just trading sales tax for property tax. If you want to grow the area and get the people up, you got to bring jobs. And our ag community, being what it is stable. It won't go anywhere else. And I'm sure you probably fight the thing of wanting extra workers. Would that bring you an opportunity to bring in some workers? I don't know. But you won't know until you put them in here, get to work, and make the problems an opportunity, whether it be in the schools or out in the public. You just got to open those doors. And brother, I want industry here, and I want it through the ag side. And, it's just like Cessna. They've been here. There's a couple of aviation plants, to it. And, yes, the county put out roads out there around the Cessna plant. I'm taking care of them. I'm out there asphalting the front of the Cessna plant. If it wasn't there, I wouldn't have to do it. But, okay, I'm spending your taxpayers' dollars because they do employ, and they are here, and they're still here. Are they big? Not as big as we'd like them. But again, you got to remember, you got Wichita and the others that are going to hang on to them in Tulsa. So we got to find our niche on small businesses away from that. And not everybody wants a Tyson. Not everybody wants a beef packing plant. Look at the struggles that Garden City, Dodge City went through. Well, they've already been through a lot of the problems we're going to face. There's a resource. And with Mac starting it, I hope the guys that our other 2 county commissioners will get involved and support them more. We've got to let people know we're here and we want them, or companies like them. So, I'm behind it 100%. I've got and I've got neighbors and different ones that totally against me. But I'm going to stand for the ag side and bringing the industry in. Am I 3 minutes up?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, I'll just say one thing, Cozy, thank you. But get over there and see the plant if you can. It's a nice day. I know they're going to have some more trips, but I think it was Leo, and you said something about they're going to make their decision pretty quick. They need to know they've got support from us, and I think they do at this time. But Trish can talk about that. I'm really maybe getting out of my deal here. But I'd like to see you guys get over there and see them, put some boots on the ground. I think that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think one of the issues that I had on Tyson, when they offered to take people, they would not take people that, like me, who wasn't elected. I couldn't go. I would have liked to have gone, but I wasn't eligible. And that's just the way the situation was, and I think it's probably going to be decided before I ever get into office anyway, but I still need to keep up on it, and mostly I would say probably Mac is the best information I've gotten on it. So.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Robert?